Hi there, I'm Amber of the Little Reeser House, where we like to celebrate and enjoy life lived in the little things. In this video, I'm going to show you the planning and the construction phase of the first big project I've taken on this year in our home, and this is our fireplace built-in unit. One of my goals for the year was to learn how to be more comfortable using power tools, and really the best way that you can learn any skill is practice. And this project was the perfect opportunity for me to dive in and really explore some of these skills and techniques. I'm going to break this project down into two videos because it is pretty extensive. So in this first video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the planning process as well as the actual construction. And in the next part, I'll share the finishing so you can see kind of the styling and direction that we go with it. So without further ado, let's just dive right in and get started on the planning. If you watched our house tour video earlier this year, you would know that our main living room is right off the entryway to our home. We spend a lot of time in this space, but it has always lacked a focal point or any sort of character. I want to make this space feel cozier and comfortable, so I decided I wanted to add some sort of electric fireplace unit with our TV mounted above. Before beginning any project, you need to find your inspiration, something to work towards or work off of that guides your build. I spent a lot of time looking on Pinterest for fireplace inspiration and ultimately realized that what I wanted was a central unit with built-in bookcases on either side. I'll talk more about the finishing touches in the second part of this series, but in terms of the build design, I narrowed it down to a floor-to-ceiling fireplace with matching half-height built-ins on either side. I decided I would create the built-ins using IKEA's Billy bookcases as the base and then build off of that. With an idea of what it was that I wanted, I was able to make a more concrete plan. I cannot stress how important planning is in any building project, especially when you are just learning how to do the actual work. The first thing I needed was some concrete measurements, and in order to get those, I needed to order the specific items that I'd be using that would dictate the size of the build. So for example, I ordered the electric fireplace insert, a mount for our TV, the two Billy bookcases I needed, and a set of hardwired sconces for either side of the build. Next, I specifically measured my space and plugged the items I had into what I had to work with. I did a simple sketch with a pen and paper and tweaked the measurements that I could until I found a layout and size that I liked. Next, I drew the same sketch to scale in Adobe Illustrator, but you could do this just as easily on a piece of paper with a pencil. It's just important to draw it to scale so you have a visual with the proper proportions. I went so far as to draw in the specific pieces of lumber I would need to bulk out my bookcases, so I had an extremely precise measurement in front of me. With the plan drawn out, I used blue painter's tape to mask on the floor where the build would sit. This is not totally necessary, but once again, I wanted a really clear visual for how much space it would fill. We also hired an electrician to add new junction boxes for the wall sconces, move an outlet for our TV to plug into, and set up a new safe circuit for the electric fireplace unit. So having it mapped out with a little tape helped us visualize where we would need some of those electrical items set up. Once again, I just want to reiterate that this planning step is so foundational. Having everything just clearly laid out made the building phase way less intimidating, and it helped me work out any of the kinks that may come up before the project actually even started. With the official planning done, it was time to start the project. To start the construction, I needed to cut out our hardwood floor so I could fasten everything right to the subfloor. I started by remeasuring and accurately marking out my cuts with a marker on top of painter's tape. The painter's tape allowed me to create a really clear, bold line to follow, but it also helped prevent any splintering in the wood as I cut. I used a circular saw set to a depth just very slightly less than the depth of the floorboards, so I would miss the subfloor. As I said, I'm new to a lot of power tools, and so I'm going to link any of the videos I used as research in the description below if you want to do any of these processes too. My circular saw wouldn't cut right to the wall, so I had to finish the wall and the corner cuts with a Dremel tool. I also used this tool to cut the baseboard and later the crown molding where I needed my unit to sit. With the floorboards out of the way, I made sure to clear out any stray nails or debris from the cutout before starting my frame. Once again, I spent a good amount of time researching the fundamentals of framing because I wanted to make sure that whatever I was building would properly carry the weight I needed it to. Based on what I found, I made a really specific sketch of my measurements so I was able to accurately order the right amount of material. I used 2x6s for the base and the top plates, as well as the frame for the fireplace unit to sit in, and then 2x4s for all the rest. I probably overdid it on how sturdy this thing is for my needs, but as you'll see in the next phase of this project, I'm considering using a stone veneer on the fireplace, so I wanted to just keep my options open and ensure it was very, very, very strong. Now, having my specific items on hand, like the fireplace unit and the TV mount, were imperative for this step of the process. I was able to build the fireplace frame to the perfect size for my unit and ensure that the studs for the TV mount were perfectly in place as well. There are so many little details to consider in a project of this size, but being prepared was really just the best way to work through them. With the frame built out, it was time to get the built-in units in place. As I mentioned, I decided to use IKEA's Billy bookcases as the foundation for the built-ins. These bookcases are inexpensive, and so they made more sense in trying to build my own shelving from scratch. I started by assembling the two half-height shelf units. I wanted to bulk them out a bit so they looked more substantial and built-in. I added some 2x4s to the subfloor to give the bookcases a little extra height and also attached a 2x4 to the main fireplace frame so I could have something to secure the shelf unit to on either side. I made sure that everything was flush and level as I worked. I brought my units out from the wall a couple of inches so they would have more visual depth. I attached 2x4s to the top of the bookshelves for more height and then cased the tops of each and the side of the left unit using 3/4 inch plywood cut to a size that would fit flush against the wall. To hide all the pieces that bulked up the unit, I added strips of 1/2 inch MDF to the fronts, adhering them with some wood glue and brad nails. This was my first time using my new brad nailer that I got for Christmas, and it was very fun. I worked away making really precise measurements so that everything lined up perfectly. Once all the pieces were attached, I used some wood filler to fill in any nail holes, some larger cracks, and the shelf holes that I wasn't using for shelf placement. I then sanded it smooth once it dried. Before I paint these units, I will also run some caulking along the seams and cracks to seal it off and make them look really sharp and solid. By this point, we got a little bit eager, so my husband helped me put up the first piece of cement board on the frame front, but that just leads me down a rabbit hole for the next phase of this project, so for now, you'll have to subscribe to see that next video when it comes out. And with that, I had wrapped the construction phase and there was only one thing left to do.
Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane, and as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise. And now, there's something.
I want to thank you for watching this video. This project was very overwhelming for me to take on, but I feel so excited and proud about how far I've already come in the process. I learned a lot of new skills that I was terrified, but I found that really just starting was the biggest hurdle that I needed to get over. Once I got rolling and going, it really just flowed and it became really fun and exciting to take on the challenge. I hope this video encourages you to do something similar in your life. Just go for it and try it and see how far you get. If you liked this video, make sure you subscribe down below because the second part will be coming out soon. And also, I love sharing stuff like this and encouraging you. So if you are into it and you want to join along, make sure you join our family here. Otherwise, if you don't mind just liking and maybe commenting, it really helps me out with my videos. Thanks again for watching, and just remember that often the best things in life are the little things, like trying something new and picking up a new skill. Bye, friends.